You're listening to WMCC Variety Talk Radio 96.9.
And now for something completely different.
It's 9 o'clock, and you're listening to the Joe Trackwell Show. Now, here's Joe.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Joe Trackwell Show, the Casual Room, only on 96.9 WMCC. I'm Joe Trackwell. We got a great show planned for you. I'm joined, as always, by my great co-hosts, Peter, Jessa, and Jaslyn. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
I'm amazing.
Fabulous.
All right. Well, it's good to see you guys again. I'm sure we got a great show planned for you.
We got some happy stuff to talk about today.
Oh, of
and
course.
some very
Interesting.
Not so happy.
interesting stuff. We're going to begin with the story that just broke, but actually took place last Wednesday, was this teacher at Pershing High School getting fired for breaking up a fight with a broom. If you guys saw the interview they did, the mother... Let's first give some backstory. There were these two teens that fought at a high school, which that's not really...
Well, basically what it was, they got into a fight in the classroom. The teacher tried signaling with her walkie-talkie to security. Unfortunately, the walkie-talkies were broken. Mm-hmm. And by school and, I believe, state laws, you can't leave the classroom...
unattended.
You cannot leave the classroom unattended. So she had to stay there and did the only thing that she reasonably thought possible was to take a plastic broom, and that would have dissolved the fight, and it didn't.
No, it didn't. This teacher was actually also very small, like under 5 foot, and these boys that were fighting, they were
some
big boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she whacks one of them with a plastic broom to try to break up the fight.
A handful of times. You know, let's say that.
A good amount of times.
One or two. It was a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she gets fired, and the mother of one of the boys tried to victimize her son by saying that he had bruises on the shoulder, on the arms, on the back. You had to look with a microscope to try to find those wounds.
I mean, but let's not fail to say that the boys did get suspended for 10 days for fighting, which of course
you hope
we
that's
knew
at the
that.
least, because I know most schools now do have zero tolerance, where even if you are just involved in the fight, regardless if you're the one who started it, there's expulsions. But I don't know the EAA rules on that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know either.
And she can't even appeal because the EAA has no union.
No union. She has nothing to back herself up with this at all.
If I could quote real quick from Keith Johnson, the president of the Detroit Federation of Teachers, he told Fox 2 yesterday that unfortunately the method that she used in terms of swatting one with a broom is a violation of the corporal punishment provision under the Michigan School Code. But she's caught in a quandary, because under that same code, she's expected to do what is necessary to diffuse a situation.
And really, what else could she have done to get these two big boys to stop fighting?
Taser.
Pour some water.
Baseball bat.
No, nothing like that. I mean, unfortunately, especially in Detroit schools, you hear about fights like this going on all the time. Actually, this is probably, unfortunately, one of the
It's not just Detroit. It's every high school, no matter where you go.
Unfortunately, though, in Detroit high schools, it is a more persistent problem there, because for most kids, you are going there either in expectation to fight or in fear of a fight happening, and you may be in that fight.
Right, exactly. These kids are going to school. A lot of times their attention isn't even trying to get through these classes. They're thinking about protection,
Survival.
which is why you hear about a lot of knives, whatever, being brought into these schools. These kids have to protect themselves one way or another.
Let me lighten it up, though, for a minute. Like, think about this. This little woman here just tried to basically stop a fight between two very large boys. We can call them men, because they are. They're pretty large men, right? Now, I give her some props for actually having some cojones to step up to them on that.
Most definitely.
So, even though she lost her job, and I know there is a petition going around change.org right now to get her job back, it's not going to happen.
This is the same website that tried to deport Justin Bieber. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
I signed that petition twice.
You're not the only one. I did too. But
sorry, I missed that one.
If you were put into that situation, you have these two large boys fighting in your classroom. What else are you going to do to try to stop that fight?
You would
find something that you can stop them. Maybe pour some water if you have water.
I mean, I can speak personally. My mom is a teacher. She's been teaching for almost 18 years now. I've seen her try to break up fights between two boys, and she actually gets in there. Now, my mom's only 5'7" woman. She's not very big. You know, she's smaller than me. But, I mean, I understand her method and why she did it. Like we said, she was very small. These were two big boys. And obviously, if you look at the video, they were all over the room. Desks were gone.
Oh, yeah. They turned that room into a rumble match.
But that's why I said, like, because of how the video looked, it looked ugly because of how, like, she was whacking it. Let's be real. Like, she was whacking it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I understand what she was doing, but it's not a
Do
pretty
you
picture
think,
either
though,
way
if
it
there
goes.
was one less Steven Spielberg in that room taking videos of this, that possibly one of them could have either intervened on that and stopped the fight? And I don't know, because I didn't go to Detroit Public Schools, but I know, at least when I was at Centerline Schools, that if a fight broke out, usually you'd have one or two other kids to either try to stop it or want to jump in on the fight.
See, that's the whole thing. Sometimes people do want to jump in, but at the same time, like, this is Detroit schools. No, we're not about to step in, break a fight. This is a one-on-one. You better learn how to hold your ground. And you are going to have kids recording it. Either put it on Facebook, Twitter, and like just the other incident with the Cavs football player, record it and use it as evidence.
And just like with the Cavs football player, he's back at school now, and the teacher, I believe, was fired in that.
Which I think was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Now, do you think there should be some level of punishment for the one who actually taped the thing instead of trying to stop it? He was trying to antagonize it.
No.
I can't say he was one antagonized, because you do hear people in the audio tape of it like egging it on, and that's in almost any fight. There's going to be people just doing that. It's just,
of course, it's a high school. You're around kids.
That's what's going to happen. But unfortunately, though, the kid, after it was all said and done, when he was interviewed by Fox 2, the mother had nothing but good things that seemed to say about her son. But unfortunately, the son, and I'm quoting him, was glad that the teacher got what she deserved.
Now, that was the kind of the stake that said that this son is obviously not wanting to do well in school. All he cares about is getting into fights. And his mother, God help this woman, is the most evil thing I've seen in a long time, because she's trying to victimize her son and say, oh, it was teacher's fault. And if you saw the interview, when the reporter asked, do you think this was your fault? You saw how long it took him to answer that question. You can bet behind that camera, that mom is shaking her head, no, it is not your fault, and you're going to say it on TV.
I was going to say, we could air that, but there's a lot of dead air, and we don't want that on the show.
No. Right. But you could hear right before he answers, that mom's going like, no.
At the same time, like, a kid's not going to sit here and try to sit here and say, a kid is going to try to defend himself, especially when he knows he's on live television. And I'm not condoning his mom at all. Let me be clear on that. But as a mom, you're going to defend your kid regardless. Mm-hmm. As a mother, seeing on video a grown woman, now mind you, in Detroit, fights happen all the time, a grown woman whacking your son, from a mother's standpoint, she's going to defend her son.
And I can speak on that myself. When I had an incident in school when I was in like the 6th grade, and an incident where a teacher laid her hands on me, I provoked it. It was not anything physical, but I provoked it by being verbally stupid and abusive. But my mom came in and defended me, right, to the end, because how dare you lay your hands on my son?
Exactly.
However, when I got home,
best believe,
I got the hand, I got the paddle, I got the backhand, I got the closed hand.
You just got every punishment by the book, didn't you?
I deserved it.
Did you learn?
I didn't do that again. I did a lot of other stupid stuff after that.
It's only after the physical punishment that you learn you don't do it again.
And
exactly.
Is that not
thing.
A life lesson, though?
It is.
Because of, I don't know how to put it into words. It's making my head boil over right now. Because I know if that was my kid, I would want to defend my child, because that is my flesh and blood, and yes, I'm going to. But if I have a news reporter in my face about that, I think I'm going to be very forthright about what I'm going to do to my son. Yeah. About how I'm going to whoop him.
Yeah. But no, you can't do that, though, because now it's illegal to whoop your child.
No. You can't really do anything to your kids physically anymore.
That's
because
sad.
We're all old enough to have lived through a generation of where that was perfectly not only acceptable, but it taught you not to do it again.
Not only did your mom or your dad do it, you had your grandma.
You had
everybody.
Grandpa, aunt, uncle.
And let's say you did do something wrong, your mom went and told every family member, every friend of the family what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it from everyone.
Unfortunately, now kids are more. I can't even say they're afraid of getting in trouble in school. You were more afraid of the punishment you got when you got home. Not from when you got stopped by the cops or the cops brought you home at 16. It was about what mom was going to do when that door is shut.
Exactly.
Because most of the time that cop is going to have that smirk on his face, knowing damn well what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
But now you can't do it though, because there's a law that your child can call the police and put you in jail.
Especially if you try to do it in public, you don't know who's going to try and call you out for quote-unquote child abuse.
And kids know that now.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I work as a cashier, aside from doing this. Mm-hmm. I see it all the time. This
doesn't pay enough for you?
No. I wish. But I see it all the time where there's these kids that throw these temper tantrums, and I give credit to some of the parents. They just ignore it because they know they're going to have some punishment for them when they get
Couldn't
home.
be me.
You hope they do.
Couldn't
Yeah,
be me.
but
These
there's
are-
also these parents that I see just smacking the crap out of their kids, and or even do the military style of just hike them over their shoulders and walk
Take
out.
them out of the store.
No, see me, like I said, I got the whooping, I got the belt, I got the shoe, I got the everything. My mom taught me from a very young age, along with my brothers, how you act at home is how you act out in public.
Absolutely.
So best believe, if she had to yank us up by our shirts at home, oh, don't let us be out in the store or something and try to act a fool.
Because
she
let me-
wouldn't smack us. But best believe she would grab us up by our shirt and give us the look.
I was just
what
the
what
look.
are you doing?
Oh my God, the look.
Have you ever had your
Everybody
mom
knows
grit
the
her
look.
teeth at you when she talks? Her lips don't move, but you hear
Oh.
everything.
Them-
What are you
everything
doing?
It just
Yes.
lightens up, and that look just comes, and the
You
fire
know.
in her eyes that's burning through you like a laser beam.
You're just looking
Oh.
at her like, oh,
my God.
crap.
Like,
You-
I
you're
hope
just
I stay
thinking-
in the store
you
much
just wanna say,
longer.
I'm sorry, mom. I'm sorry, mom. But mom, you know it's coming, and she and I say nothing to you. Nope. Nothing.
Nope,
And
She-
it's the worst part is when the car ride is dead quiet. No radio, no talking, no nothing. Like, you know.
I've had a car
You know,
ride actually.
there's
end
something waiting at
prematurely.
home.
Yes.
Hang on. I had a car ride and prematurely coming back from Walmart. I might have been like 10 or 11. But a situation, I wasn't like acting up in the store. I just wanted something. And I think I got really like bratty about it. My mom gave me the look and I knew what was coming when I got home. So the whole ride home, I was going, Mom, I'm sorry. Mom, I'm sorry. She pulled off on a side street, put that car in park, and gave it to me right there in the car. There was no waiting to get home. But there's respect, though, you give to people who you don't want to say they beat you because I don't want to say like my mom
Discipline.
beat me. She did not. She
Just a little
disciplined me, and
discipline.
now I have respect for other people. When I see things like this, I'm offended by it. That they happen because now you're like how you said how you were at home is how you are in
Act
public.
exactly.
How do you think these kids are at home if that's how they are in public?
You can't expect a child to just act however they want at home. Oh, but when they get out in front of people, be like, oh, we're gonna be on our best behavior.
Exactly.
No.
Nope.
If I don't do it in front of you, what makes you think I'm gonna do it in front of somebody else? And that's the problem nowadays, unfortunately.
Nope, you can't even put your hands on your kids anymore. No, you got to give them a timeout. You got to take away their stuff.
Go to
them
the
in-
corner.
That's not
in the
going to
corner.
teach them. It's not going to teach them
You
anything.
ever
Go
watch
to the
like Super
corner.
Nanny or anything like that and just
Yes.
laugh at how ridiculous these theories they have are, and they seem to work on the show. I don't get how. Maybe it's the
I
money.
don't
No, best
buy-
believe
I
when
don't
those
buy it.
cameras go off, that child is right back acting
I would.
fool.
I really hope so, and I really do. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's just I hope so.
No.
It's just ridiculous. That I could get into another tangent about that show entirely, but I won't.
I don't,
but
we gotta have to have another segment
but
for that.
but overall, there's not going to be that much punishment going on for the kids. It's just a 10-day suspension. They'll be right back at school.
Exactly.
I honestly think that this teacher should have her job back.
Does she want it back though?
I wouldn't think so. Not after probably the mental trauma that she's had to go through in the
Because
last
I'm
few
going to
days.
say this. Even let's just say a petition does go through. Or let's say another school says, you know what, we're sorry for what had happened to you. We want to hire you. The problem is now she has child abuse on her
On
professional
her
teaching
reputation,
record.
Yeah.
yes. And
How
that
do you
stuff
get
doesn't
over
go
that?
away.
You don't. You're done.
Which actually begs the question, is she going to be hireable for another district? Because there are certain jobs
Especially
where
suburban.
if you are things like, convicted felon, sex offender, you are not hireable if you have those tags on you.
Mm-hmm.
But for something as, I want to say minor, because this wasn't like a brutal beating. This was just an attempt to get a fight broken up.
Yeah.
Is she going to be hireable in the near or even few years down the road?
I'd hire her.
I would too.
I got a little sister at home. Sometimes I got to babysit, and I can't. I don't want to beat on her. So
I
let
could
the
defend her,
lady
but at the
just
same
come with
time,
the
I
stick.
still hear that one principal or that one leader of education saying, what if it happens again? Were they gonna grab another broom and grab the kid? I can see it.
But my biggest thing, and I know this is all hypothetical, but let's say she didn't do anything, right? And she waited, maybe yelled out of the room, hey, need security, or whatever she had done in that time. We don't know. What if that kid beat that kid to a coma in that room? She's now responsible for that. Mm-hmm. And that's the sad thing.
So really, it's kind of a double-edged
There
sword.
was no
that you
way
put
that
up
she
there.
could have won in this situation.
No, this was a
There's
lose-lose
no-
situation.
You
either
feel
way.
you feel bad. I don't want to say just for her, but for any, I guess, teacher or any professional that's put in a position like that, because you're gonna go with your instinct
Right.
more so than just the professional teaching rules.
So final verdict, everybody's at fault. You want to just leave it at that?
Pretty
Everyone.
much.
Yeah. Now, you were saying about the story that we hadn't heard of for a while, but you had found it last week. Why don't you tell us about it?
These 200, at least it's been recorded that 234 young girls between the ages of 16 and 18 were kidnapped from a Nigerian school by this terrorist group. I believe, Peter, you know the name.
Hoko Boko
Boko
Haram.
Haram.
Right, and this particular terrorist group opposes Western education. Quote, the group's called the group means
Isn't it
education is sinful.
Western education is sinful.
Yeah,
right?
Western education is sinful. Now, mind you, this is in Nigeria.
Third world country.
It's been told that a lot of people know the whereabouts of these girls, but because of lack of guns, weapons, whatever, they can't even go in the forest where these girls have been seen.
Unfortunately, too, there's a lot of, it seems, I don't want to say political pressure, but I know there was a parent that was told that she cannot issue citizens arrest on any of these people if they assume that they are a part of this. I forgot the mother's name, but it might have been a family member of the mayor or the president there. But it seems like there's a lot of things that are shady about this, about how long this has gone on. Now you're actually hearing about some of these girls who were sold as child brides
Sold
for
for $12 American dollars.
Yeah, okay, I've seen that on a different site too, and I was just...
For as much as we here in the U.S., we take for granted all these bad stories that we hear every single day on the news, it's a lot worse in other areas. This is just sick.
Could you imagine if this happened in one of our communities? That
there would be widespread.
That's the thing. Sex trafficking, and this is basically modern day slavery. This is a common business that still goes on and is very popular.
It actually seems to be growing.
It is growing by the minute. This type of business is more profitable than so many other businesses out here.
Oh,
for the men that are involved.
Steal a child and sell her for $12. It's all
and
profit.
It's sad because it's not like, okay, you know the guy that sold your child, you can just go find him. No, there are different parts, different places that they take these girls. These girls are drugged, everything. By the time they are fully conscious, they have no idea where they are.
No.
And it's sad because I found out about this on Instagram. Now, that same week...
That's kind of an odd place to find out about a story like this.
Now, in that same week, Rihanna had a Vogue cover in a bikini suit. That was all over news, television, radio, everything.
Yeah, that was on the front page.
But I'm like, I didn't hear about this on CNN. I didn't hear about this on ABC, Fox 2, nothing.
And I think a lot of that, too, had to do... I know Eric Holder, the Secretary of Defense or the State Department, he had issued or offered FBI assistance on them. They turned it down. And it's
because if it doesn't affect us here, they won't touch it.
No. We were offering the help. They turned it down, and it's a lot to believe that these girls are being held possibly with demands that you do not get Western help, because obviously they hate the West. So now if they know there's Western influence on the capture or the rescue of these children, the worst may happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's so sad. You just wish you could do something, and I feel like this is almost going to become a Coney 2012 thing, where someone will make a video and try to get a rally behind it, and it will go for about 2 or 3 days, where people will act so gung-ho, and yes, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to do something, and then a week later, it's just going to vanish again.
I was so disappointed in that story. And that
yeah,
guy
didn't it turn out to be fake or something?
It wasn't fake, but the guy himself got caught for, masturbation in a train station. The guy who was organizing all of
okay,
this.
then. That's kind of an odd way to be arrested.
But I actually just seen on CNN News today, Justin, that they are accepting help from the U.S.
Oh, they are? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Just in today, around 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah,
So at least we can spin some positivity out of everything that we've just discussed.
Maybe.
I just hope they get this together, because how would you feel? You're sending your daughter to school in a Western country where education is very limited, and then she just doesn't come back. Mm-hmm. That's sad.
It's really sad.
It is.
So how about we get off this sad subject? We'll get on to something more exciting as we...
let's talk about Donald Sterling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Coming up next, right after the break, we'll discuss the issues in the NBA regarding Donald Sterling. We even throw in some baseball and a little bit about how the Lions are going to mess up the NFL draft this year. This is 96.9 WMCC.
Don't draft Sammy Watkins.
When looking for a tablet, there are many things that you want to consider. Do you want navigation? Do you want voice-activated searches? Well, if you get a Galaxy, or if you get a Nook, or if you get a Kindle, you get none of these things. So why would you not just get the iPad? The new iPad. In a world full of oranges, there's only one apple.
Wendy, I'm home. Now what's for dinner?
Well, the kids have been sick and Bobby had to go to practice.
And why is that my problem?
But I haven't had...
I've had a long day. Now get me dinner, you lazy...
No! Don't! I'm sorry.
Turning Point Macomb, a safe place from domestic violence. Call 586-463-6990 or go to turningpointmacomb.org.
I still can't believe what happened to her.
Before it's too late.
Hey, Thirst, can I try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you? Yes. Cool. You okay with this? Yes. And this? Yes. And what about this? Yes. Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola, open happiness.
De zurda al arco, qué golazo. Gol Rio.
We're soft. I got a bunch of mama's boys right now.
His legs moving to make sure that he kept that 2-on-1. There's Daniel Relico.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight and the Mets win it.
Gol el 5 porque es para él.
Montana. Looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Dwight caught!
Goal! Yes, it's time for sports on WMCC 96.9.
And welcome back to 96.9 WMCC. This is the Joe Trackwell Show, the Casual Room. I'm Joe Trackwell, still here with Peter, Jessa, and Jaslyn. How you guys doing after that? It's time for the sports segment, and, well, what's been the hottest story over the last week? It's the Donald Sterling.
Oh, yeah, that.
Rugby. What is this, Australia?
Hey. He's in Australia right now.
The big story over the last week has been the racist comments said by LA Clippers owner Donald Sterling. Mm-hmm. And new commissioner Adam Silver laid down the law against him recently. Banned for life from anything NBA. He can't be involved with the team business decisions or personnel decisions. Nope. He got the max fine allowed by NBA contract in $2.5 million. And the owners are going to have a vote where they're going to need 22 out of 29 votes to force a sale. Guys, what do you think about all this?
Good.
Here's my personal opinion. You have the right to say whatever you want in the privacy of your own home. You have that legal right.
Well, you have that right outside it, too.
You have the freedom of speech.
Yes.
It's just messed up being the position he's in. You know, you're the owner of this organization who over the past couple of years have become very successful, even top contenders in the division right now.
They've really turned it around in the last 5 years.
I mean, you guys remember the Clippers of the last 10, 20 years?
Where they were always bottom of the barrel in the
Clippers
West?
who?
The Corey Maggette led Clippers,
Right. And it's even more messed up because in his type of position, you're not only representing the Clippers, you're representing the NBA as a whole, which is why I say, you know what, that was a very bold but good move by Adam Silver.
You know what? For him being commissioner for less than a year, I think he's already stamped his legacy just with this decision.
So he's already better than David Stern?
Well, I'm not going to say that right now, but he's already...
You can already say that.
He's been less than a year into his tenure, and he's already had his defining moment, which was this decision.
Right.
Do you think it was the correct decision?
I feel like because of especially how the team is and how the NBA now especially is more predominantly of African-American race, not including coaches as well, this was the right move. But then again, who's to say that other coaches, other athletic trainers, anybody doesn't feel this same way?
Now, if it was someone else, we probably wouldn't even be discussing this because it would have probably been a first offense. It would have probably been a little slap on the wrist, maybe a monetary fine, but that's it.
Right.
But Donald Sterling has had a history of making racist comments or having racist opinions.
Behaviors, even when he was, he refused to, rent out housing in his apartment complex to minorities, and then he actually took it to the courts and just paid out fines and shut everyone up on it.
Just settled his lawsuit.
I think because he just got the money and he just doesn't care what he say.
That's another thing. Like, come on, let's be honest. This dude is 80 years old. He's getting ready to pass away. Let's just be honest.
And actually,
this money is not hurting his pockets over his lifetime. It's not hurting his pockets.
He just got diagnosed with cancer last week.
Oh, that's
no, they don't know if he was just diagnosed last week, but it got put out there last week that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. But my problem is what you said, the freedom of speech. You have the freedom to say what you want, but you also have the freedom, or I should say everyone else has the freedom of repercussions against you for what you say.
Yeah.
You can't just go out and say anything and not expect reverb from that from someone either supporting or punching you in the face.
Now, what's there to say about his, I guess you can call him his mistress, this 21-year-old that he's been dating?
That was the side chick.
She's 21?
She's like in her early 20s.
Seriously?
I want to say 20.
Yeah. We're on the radio, but the face I'm making right now is if I was looking at like some really moldy old cheese right now. That's
early 20s. She was younger than 25.
I thought she's like more than
Isn't she
30?
also to blame for all of this because she recorded it when it was pretty much a conversation in the privacy of their own house?
By the way, I heard on the radio that rich people, they record their talk at home.
Yeah, he said that she was his, like, archive.
That was, and I believe this was brought up, that she had brought that up to her lawyer, and that's now the legal standing is that she has over 100 hours of recordings on him, and by that standard alone, you can say that you are an archivist, that you are keeping a memoir of archives of things, because he was losing his mind and being forgetful and things like that. So, and even if he is getting dementia or senile, who's to say? Nobody's going to believe him anyway, no matter what he says. And I don't think he even cares, because his quote when they asked him, "How do you feel about all this happening?" His response was, and I quote, "I wish I would have paid her off."
Wow.
That's all he said.
That's wow.
And I think that should just summarize Donald Sterling in one sentence.
I mean, but did you hear him? I remember hearing the recording that they played on 97.9 in the morning. She said, I mean, do you want me to, quote, delete the black people off my Instagram? He said, I don't have a problem with it. Just don't put it on the media where everyone can see.
And don't bring them to my games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I saw a picture right before, it was game 3, was it? Was before all this happened between Golden State and LA? There was a guy, a white guy in the stands who had a sign that said, I brought
a black guy to the
game.
I've seen that on Facebook.
The other guy had one that says, I'm black. But those guys, at least, they were having fun with it. The reason, and he did not get fired just because of pressure from Adam Silver. The money that they was losing of the ad revenue, sponsors were pulling out of the Staples Center.
Yeah, there were huge sponsors that pulled away. Red Bull pulled away.
That's
you cannot
big.
fund a
Red
team
Bull.
without
That's big.
Mercedes-Benz pulled their sponsorship of the Clippers. It was getting bad.
I'm surprised I didn't hear State Farm in there because Chris Paul is like the face of State Farm now.
And what's going to happen if they don't want to re-sign with the team? That team's going to go back down to the dumpster.
That's bad.
But not only that, have you heard the rumored people that have wanted to buy the Clippers? No. You have that list for us.
I have that list. Right now, we have probably Magic Johnson being the most
That's the most likely. He's a basketball mind. I think he could...
He's been around
for take the team to great success.
Now, mind you, he's also owner of the Dodgers. Let's not forget
to buy into a basketball team for a while.
Let's not forget that he also owns a team in baseball right now. So he has the bread. He has it. Now, Oprah's on that list.
Oh, God.
Oprah's on that list with David Geffen and another, they're not a crowdsource, but it is a pool of money of rich billionaires all getting together and, putting their pinky rings up or something.
Now, P. Diddy's on that list. Ciroc in the locker room after the game.
What's he been doing lately?
Who knows? We've seen him on TV. Floyd Mayweather is also in this list. Now, I hear that he and another guy that is a boxer might actually be teaming up. They feel like it would be a good look for especially two minorities, to team up, put their money together, and hopefully do something successful with this team.
I wouldn't mind that. I mean,
I wouldn't mind that either.
I have a little problem, though, with this other idea that was put out there, and it was started by Arsenio Hall, a guy, whoop, whoop, whoop. I love him, all right, since coming to America and the Arsenio Hall show. He has started a Kickstarter campaign to buy the Clippers. And Cat Williams was the first person to donate to his campaign. I believe he gave him $100,000 right off the top.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So
Please, no.
I wouldn't mind to see an Arsenio Hall owned team, but at the same rate,
And in reality,
this is the world we've come to right now.
Who knows if this is even going to happen? Because even before the punishment was laid down by Adam Silver, he said vehemently that this team is not for sale. But if the owners have a majority vote, he's out.
They can vote him out.
He's out.
Funny little fact here. Donald Sterling bought the Clippers in 1983 when they were still the San Diego Braves for $12 million. They are worth $675 million right now. So, for all in all, for him being a pile of garbage, racist, and every other thing under the sun, he just got almost $1 billion richer.
This is why I said, do you really think this is going to hurt his pockets?
No, this is actually helping his pockets.
It's not going to hurt him at all.
No.
Mm-mm.
So
it really did damage the team's reputation, and they had just started to build it right back up.
They
after
were.
being in the basement for so many years. They drafted Blake Griffin. They got Chris Paul. This team is going to go somewhere. It's also kind of funny how on the opposite end of the spectrum, the Lakers are now heading for the basement.
It's funny how a lot of that started, though. Chris Paul was traded to the Clippers. What happened when Chris Paul tried to get traded to the Lakers?
That didn't happen.
Because David Stern denied it. Funny how a week later he goes to the Clippers. Just saying.
And how the Clippers have all of a sudden risen to be one of the best teams in
How can you
basketball.
trade for Doc Rivers in the middle of a contract? A coach. How can
Doc Rivers, a legend.
NBA logic.
I just don't get how you can do that.
But I want to just say this quote real quick. I know in 2007 he was accused for racial slurs against a former NBA player, which he got settled in lawsuits and money. But she clearly asked him, the side chick, that's what I call her, do you support your African American players? And he, I quote, said, "Of course I support them. I give them food. I give them clothes. I give them cars. The shoes they wear, who do you think gives them that? I do." Now, he's been said to have a plantation mentality.
Sounds about right.
When you factor in his age and the way that he was probably brought up, I could kind of maybe see that, but it's still disgusting.
And it's not to defend him. I do want to say this, though, because my grandparents, all right, they're older. They're from a different generation where things were viewed differently. I could say if you were 80 years old and as a child you looked at equal races as all being equal, you were the outcast.
You were the traitor.
You were the one you were the not friends with all the other white kids anymore. You had to go play by yourself because even the black kids probably wouldn't want to play with you because they didn't trust you yet.
Exactly.
This is a long time ago. They might not even been to the same schools at that time. I don't know. But all I'm saying is you cannot vilify him for having these beliefs when he was brought up in a culture where these beliefs were held in people's hearts. Unfortunately, that's the shadow that the American flag has
still
behind
like
it.
That. That stuff
still
hasn't
some
gone
people out
anywhere.
there that believe that should still be the case. But to wrap things up about this, you got to give a hand to the Clippers for at least trying to rectify the situation. On their website, the day that the ban was announced, they cleared everything off that website with the logo that just said the words "We are one," and they won their games. They won a heck of a 7-game series with the Warriors.
Adidas also has those shirts now available on their store in the Clippers team store.
Now let's not forget also the shirts, their warm-up shirts were blank.
Yeah,
there was no
turned them inside out.
Exactly. And Miami Heat also supported them by doing the exact same thing. They threw their shirts into the middle of the floor supporting the Clippers.
I agree that was a nice protest. Them losing that series, I think, would have been a better protest. But to be fair though,
there was actually one of the higher ups with the Clippers said that had the penalties not been this harsh, they would have walked off the court.
And no one would blame them. No one, and you couldn't blame them for that.
But at the same time, though, let's keep it real. This is still the NBA. Do you guys really feel like people weren't going to fill those seats? Let's be honest.
They still would.
In LA, they would.
Yeah.
But give a hand to them for at least putting up a good fight. And now they got who they playing in round 2?
OKC.
Yeah, that's
what a win.
Oklahoma City's got. I'm sorry, the Thunder are going to be the NBA champs this year. I'm calling it right now.
What?
Really?
In stereo,
I cannot go against my boy Kevin Durant.
I mean, I understand that, but let me just point this out. Clippers won 122 to 105 against OKC. Chris Paul was 5 for 5 from 3-point line with 17 points by himself in the first quarter. No answer.
So wait, so you think OKC is gonna win the final? Who are they gonna play?
Miami. Because really, there's only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that are worth talking about, and that's Miami
and the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, because the Pacers have turned into a joke after being one of the best teams for some time. They were lucky to escape round 1.
They were lucky. Pacers were a better team. Pacers were a better team than Atlanta.
Yeah, they were, but
I believe that Pacers were going to win that round regardless.
Ooh, see, I didn't think so. I didn't even think they deserved it the way they did play.
They didn't deserve it. Atlanta put up a good fight. Now, I'm not going to discredit them at all, but Pacers were a better team. I knew that.
But I think at the same how Washington handled them in game 1, it was the same way Atlanta did, where Indiana walked in there and said, "We got this. We were the top dogs. Yeah. We're going to the final. Or really, we're going to the Eastern Conference final."
Where did Washington come from?
Out of nowhere.
7 years in the basement.
Because we heard
and of course the
nothing
Pistons
about
are
them
still in the
last
basement.
year.
And the Pistons are still in the basement. But let's move this over to more local stories with sports that are still going on here in the Motor City. We have the Tigers, who are
I'm sorry. Go on.
Nice. 7 wins in a row for the Tigers. They play tonight and a big debut. Going for 7 in a row tonight. They got a big game tonight because one of their highly touted pitching prospects gets his first major league start tonight, Robbie Ray.
And he was part of the Fister trade.
Yeah.
That was actually the bread and butter of us receiving on that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
see, when I first heard that deal go on, I was very skeptical about it because, I mean, I knew that they were going to have to get rid of one of them. They ain't going to get rid of Verlander. It's going to be a challenge to re-sign Scherzer.
Yep.
And they just inked up Sanchez
they knew
quite a while. This team is going to live and die by their rotation.
I will say this, that I have full faith in Dave Dombrowski. I will not question a move of his until it is something that drastically is detrimental to this team, because in the last few years, I know he said some stupid things about our minor league pitching prospects and the farm that we have down there. He's done great things of bringing in talent here and keeping this team in a playoff race. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he's spending a boatload of money on that. That's a lot of $5 hot and readies. Even the $8 Supreme square ones too, right?
Right.
I mean, but the fact of the matter is, they're a winner. They're going to keep doing it. Robbie Ray, I don't expect him to be a big factor this year. I see Casey Crosby actually being more of a factor later down the stretch when they call him up from AAA.
Now, here's something that I wanted to ask you guys. This offseason, they gave Cabrera his monster deal.
Yes.
I was talking with some of my coworkers. I said, if you could only re-sign one, Cabrera or Scherzer, who'd you pick? I chose Cabrera because there is not going to be another hitter in this generation that's going to have those kind of numbers and not be linked to any steroids.
True.
I think they made the right call. It's how much are you going to demand a Scherzer to get the money? Because he said he's not going to take any deals during the season.
And that's the best way to be about it, I think. But look what happened. He was doing that, I think, because Justin Verlander did the same thing last year or 2 years ago when he went up for his deal.
And then he got his monster contract.
He got his before the season. When the Tigers went to Scherzer, they offered him too little money, I guess you want to say, for being an A1, 1B, whatever you want to call him on the rotation.
Yeah, because Verlander, Scherzer, they're the easy one, too.
Absolutely.
And then they went and spent all that money on Sanchez. They brought in, who was it they brought in this year?
They brought in Ian Kinsler in the Fielder trade, which
get him the heck out of here. Thank God Fielder's gone. He's terrible down in Texas
right now. He hasn't done anything.
And Kinsler's done a pretty good with his stint with the Tigers. In fact, I still love Kinsler's comment before the season where he hoped the Rangers go 0-162.
I didn't even hear that. That's great.
I missed that one.
Yeah, I'm just glad Fielder was gone. He was not doing anything. It's like he didn't want to be in Detroit.
No, I don't think he did. Unfortunately, he had the divorce that went on during his time here. I know that did affect him, but you're part of the team, and the team comes before almost everything else. And when Cabrera had his legal issues of his drunk driving in the preseason or down in Lakeland, Florida, he did not let that affect him all season.
No, he did not.
He came back and he had a slump, I think, at the beginning of the year, but he came on and Triple Crown.
Yeah, and that's something that's very rare to do in baseball these days. They're ahead, 5 games in the division right now?
I believe 5.
5.
Yes.
It's not that big when the AL Central is the weakest division in baseball. It used to be the NL West because everyone would be under 90 wins, but now, really, other than the Tigers and maybe the White Sox, is there any other team that really can compete with those two in the Central? No,
but look at
Minnesota and Cleveland are trash, and Kansas City is starting to rise.
Minnesota's good right now.
They have a lot of good things going for them right now. They really do. I'm not lying. And they always seem to be there at the end. I don't know, but look at the AL West, though. I think the Angels might be the only team that'll come out of there this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Mariners are going to do anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'll still root for my Tigers, though. Gotta always do it. When we come back from this break, it is the open forums. Anything goes, and anybody's got what we got.
Rugby.
This is not except for rugby. We've already done
No
this.
Australian
This is
here, buddy.
96.9 WMCC.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
I'd like to have an argument. An argument is a collective series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
Bring your cameras on down there. Let's do some one-on-one. Okay?
You're listening to WMCC 96.9 on your FM dial, the station where our opinion matters most. And now, back to Joe Trackwell.
It's funny because it's true.
Welcome back to the Joe Trackwell Show on 96.9 WMCC. This is the Open Forum. Still here with Peter, Jessa, and Jaslyn.
Hi.
So, Peter, you were coming up to me before the show about this poll that you saw about Michigan people wanting to leave.
Yeah, so I know the situation in Michigan has gotten better in the recent years, okay? Employment's going back up. We think we're on the right track. Well, a recent Gallup poll came out and was asked as residents of every single state, if you were willing and you had the ability to pack up and leave, would you do it? 37% of the people polled in Michigan said they would leave. And that's a little bit towards the top. It's not the highest. I believe the highest was Illinois at 50% and Connecticut at like 49%.
Wow.
But let's face it, if you know anything about real Illinois and real Connecticut, it's not very nice there. So I can understand where they're coming from too. Mm-hmm. But I want to pose this to you guys. Let's say, hypothetically, right now, somebody walks in that door and says, here's your free ticket out of here. You can go anywhere in this world you want to go outside of the state of Michigan right now. Do you do it?
Well, first, before I make my comment, I'm surprised that percentage was not higher.
For Michigan?
For Michigan. I'm surprised it wasn't anywhere close to 50. And I'm surprised it wasn't at the top.
I wish I knew what people they sampled where from the state. I mean, I'm sure they got
that poll also gave examples of reasons why they said they would leave.
Yeah.
Whether it was taxes or
finding a better job, closer to family. Yeah, and the taxes were a big part of it.
If given the opportunity, yes, I would pack up and leave. Now, I have a good reason for it. My girlfriend lives out in Virginia. 600 miles away. She lives just outside of Richmond. I went to go visit her over spring break. Probably had the best time of my life.
7-8 hour drive.
It's about a 12-hour drive.
Okay, I've been to West Virginia. Never made it into Virginia.
No, she lives closer to the coast.
Okay,
but if given the opportunity to be closer to her and kind of just start my own chapter of life, of course I'd get the heck out of here.
Absolutely.
My thing is, I was born, raised, city of Detroit. Violence, it's the main thing. My whole thing is, I believe in Detroit. I want to see Detroit pick up itself. Stop all this BS, and let's get back to not even how we used to be, but even better. On the downside, one of my family members 2 weeks ago, house just got broken into. Now, mind they have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. I feel like there is no reason anyone should have to constantly look over their shoulder and have their children scared to go to sleep at night. Mm-hmm. When this was my little cousin, he clearly said, I asked him, because he never sleeps with the nightlight on. I said, why are you sleeping with the nightlight on tonight? You know what's going on? He said, if something happens, I at least just want to be able to see what's coming.
And that,
an 8-year-old.
And that's sad.
That's very sad.
Yeah, that is. That
has to process, because that's a thought they will have on a daily basis.
Forever. And by the time you're, 9, 10, 11, you're starting to, stay at home by yourself.
Some of those problems could be avoided by not just leaving the state, but possibly just leaving the city. And I know you want to represent the city and stick around because you believe in it.
Exactly.
And I believe everything too. That's why I'm still around Metro Detroit. But given an opportunity, if I could leave, I would start my life over somewhere.
I would choose to leave.
I mean, I think we all would have the opportunity to come back. That's the one thing on this, that if you don't like it where you are, you can. The grass isn't always greener. Right. You may think, I would love to go to Florida because I know people down there. I got family down there. I know Florida's not the greatest place in the world.
No, thank you. Too much money.
I have family members in L.A.
So you could go there, but just to say, who's to say you might not like it? You may like the craziness that is home to you.
Right.
Because that is home. It's comforting.
Right.
See, I could find the flaws in all that. Florida, too much money, costs too much money, and there's hurricanes. Vegas, too much money, and you'll lose too much money. LA, too much money and earthquakes.
Just work there.
Earthquakes, mudslides.
Everything. But so basically, we're all in basically unanimous decision. If we had the opportunity to move, we'd all be packing our bags and getting the heck up out of here.
I'll stay in Michigan.
Wow.
You'll stay?
Yes.
Reasoning?
Wow.
Somebody's got to, I guess, right?
You know why? Because we only deal with snow, no hurricane.
Yeah, that's the one
but
thing.
You know what? That is a very good reason, though. I would rather deal with, our little recession that, the whole country's dealing with, and not have to deal with, I don't know when a hurricane's coming, I don't know when a tornado's coming, mudslides, fires. Michigan is surrounded by water, but yet we only have a tornado, once every
like 2 years.
Depending on where you're at. I mean, there's spots in Oakland County and even like Monroe County that they get hit up every single year with them.
they do.
I mean, but it's...
But overall, though, Michigan does not have any problems like that.
No, we just
have
a little
bit of snow.
Just a
little bit of snow, right? Just like 12 inches of snow one night, and then it'll freeze over, and then 10 more inches the next night.
Just the snowiest winter on
Only
Michigan.
this year, though.
Just the snowiest Michigan winter
ever. Did it actually?
It hit 95.6 inches. We have the
did
record.
We did it. I know it was coming.
the record.
Congratulations.
We did this. We couldn't have done it without each other.
Exactly. I never want to see snow again after this winter. It was
Really?
just nasty.
You know how many school closings were happening because of this winter?
See, this doesn't benefit us because we only had like one.
We only had one.
Back in the day, you had one free one, and anyone after that, they were tacked on at the end of the school year.
But no, now they give like 6, 7, 8 snow days
Listen,
a year.
This is the theory now kids have, and this is about the wussification of kids, is that my sister 2 days ago was, maybe on Friday, she had to go to school, found out there was going to be thunderstorms in the morning. She asked me, will they cancel school? She was dead serious about that, and I thought she was joking. Well, they're not going to cancel school for a thunderstorm. No, but because of the lightning. They're not canceling school.
Here's
and
the
if
bad
they do,
thing
I will
about
lose
that.
it.
Here's the bad thing about that. When I was younger, up until I was about maybe 14 or 15, I was afraid of thunderstorms.
I'm still scared of thunder and lightning.
I used to sit on the porch
I would always purposefully, whenever I knew there was a thunderstorm coming, I would always purposefully turn away from the window so I didn't have to see lightning. That was always my big fear. But you're right. These kids these days, it's like their parents don't want to be parents. They want to be buddies.
Which is all good when you grow up, but...
Yeah, once you get past the age of 18 and you're on your own, that's fine. But when you're in their house, you're going to abide by their rules.
Yeah.
Parents don't want to enforce anything anymore. They don't want to put the foot down.
Going out, 40-year-olds to act like they're 20, trying to go to parties with their kids, still trying to drink, encouraging their kids to come smoke with them and everything. Like, no offense, I'm 20 years old right now. I'll be 21 in October. I wish my mom would say, come on, Jazz, let's go to a party together.
Just come hang out with my mom. She's real cool. She'll tell you.
Come on, Jazz, let's go to the club together.
Cool like that?
She's cool like that. But not as a kid, though. When I was a kid, no. Well, as a grown-up, it's different.
Oh, and these are the same kids that you see end up on Maury or the Steve Wilkos show. You smacked your mom? Well, yeah, she said something to me I ain't like.
These will be the same kids that 10 years ago they'll be getting the words "You are the father."
But I mean, it's even messed up more for the parents because you try not to be too strict, or you try not to give them too much discipline and all that. Okay, well, I guess because of how things are now, I understand. I know I don't understand it, but whatever. You think how you think, but don't try to be buddy with your child. But then all of a sudden you want to flip that parent switch on. Like, what did I tell you? Your kid's gonna look at you like you're stupid.
That's true.
Like, no.
It brings back what we said earlier. You can't spank your kids anymore because child abuse. But when we got that kind of punishment, we learned quickly.
Oh no, you got the bell, you got the whipping.
I don't want to interject right now, but this was a poll about just moving out of Michigan. How do we get back on the kids?
See, this is why we're so good.
I'm trying to get this back to full circle, but I don't know how we got on this road.
Because of the storm.
Because we mentioned snow.
Storm and
snow. So really, this was your fault.
I'm sorry.
Good job.
Let us down a road. Let us down a road I can't get us back on.
Well, let me try and get back on the road, but in a completely different way. Have any of you guys seen in Seattle? They became the first city to raise minimum wage to $10 an hour. I'm a cashier part-time. I make $7.75 an hour. I'm fine with it because I don't have many priorities. Why do the fast food workers and the retail people feel like they deserve $15 an hour? Do you realize that you get paid more? That means less people are going to have jobs, you're going to have less hours, and every single thing that you buy is going to be more expensive.
Yes.
But, okay, I can understand. I work at Arby's. I get paid $7.40, $7.45 an hour. The cost of living right now, we're not getting by with $7.40.
No, and even if at one point you were, and even at your job too, with cost of living and inflation, there should be required raises that go in line with that. Unfortunately, workplaces do not do that unless you are in some type
whatever they can
of
do to save
union,
money.
Then you can do that. But I will say for myself, at the last job I had, I worked in a warehouse. I was making a little bit more than that. All right, it's like $13 an hour. But to say they
wow, look
raised,
at you, big money man.
Yeah, I know. Look at me right now, my T-shirt from 2007 Tech Fest. Yeah. Let's say they raise minimum wage to $10 an hour. That means that my wages are going to have to go up because I'm not going to continue working at that same rate. And I think that would happen. That's a trickle-down effect that everyone in line is going to go, well, wait a minute. Those people got it. I deserve it too because I will tell my bosses if they're not going to give me the raise, I'll go work at McDonald's.
Yes.
I'll go work in fast food and make a little bit less money, have a lot less responsibility.
Yeah.
And hell, maybe in a couple of years, the $15 will be the minimum wage.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, but it also means that it would be extremely hard to get a job.
Yeah.
Because if you have to pay that much to your employees, they're gonna schedule less people.
Someone's gonna get cut. Someone's
There's
hours gonna be
people
taken
gonna
from
cut,
them.
Hours will be cut, and everything you buy is gonna be at least almost twice as expensive.
There is no more dollar menu.
I was going to say goodbye to that value
No
menu.
more
That's
dollar
gone.
menu.
No more.
Instead of the dollar menu, it'll be the $5 menu, and $5 footlongs will be $25 footlongs.
Who knows? You know.
It would be 35.
Yeah, I can see you're cringing at that.
I'm oh my god, I eat so much fast food. I would lose it if that happened because I would have to make more money then.
Now, see, here's a quote that I have from Senator Burt Johnson. He said he believes that a better minimum wage will boost the standard of living, stimulate consumption, and decrease the need for governmental assistance.
The only problem with that is all you are doing is raising the lower bar. It's because there's always going to be a bottom, and in society that bottom will dictate. I guess you want to say upper class, middle class, lower class. All you're doing is just raising that a little bit more because, like you said, cost of living is going to continue to rise. Expenses. Everyone now has phones. Everyone's got computers. There's so many expenses that you have to take in now.
Mm-hmm.
That little bit of money that you might make up that you think, wow, I'm getting all this more now. You're still getting screwed because you're still losing
everything
out.
else rises
Everything
as well.
Else, yeah, I mean, you made extra, $3 an hour or $2.50 an hour. That's great. Well, your Comcast bill just went up another $9 a month because they said, screw you, we can.
Right. So if the minimum wage go $15, the qualification
All
for the
that
employees
means, all that means
it's going to be higher too, right?
It's going to be even harder. They're going to ask for a degree, maybe a master's to work at fast food restaurants now.
And I say this, I really wish the minimum wage would get lowered for this reason alone. No, for this reason alone. If, and this would only have to be an if situation, the dollar gained strength against the currencies around the world because the more dollars you have in circulation, that makes every dollar worth less money.
So you're saying print less money.
That would be a start. Instead, print less money. You would actually decrease inflation. That money that you have and you earn is going to still be worth something down the road. You're not going to be able to have a living wage, working retail fast food at minimum wage for a long time. It's a stepping stone, and that's what they're there for.
You should be a politician.
I don't want to be a politician. I like to tell the truth. I don't like to lie. Besides, I can't be bought. You heard me. I can't be bought. Maybe not.
But
everybody has a price.
But did you guys know that currently there are already 16 states that have raised minimum wage to $10?
Now,
really? What are the other ones?
I don't know about states. I know there were some cities. I know in Maryland they did raise it. I don't know if it was across the whole state. It might have been through Baltimore though.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a mess in general.
Yeah, I don't think that it would help cut governmental assistance though.
No,
especially seeing how big that is.
Oh, I could go into a whole other topic about government assistance and how I think they need to be stricter on it.
Me too.
As a cashier,
they're getting stricter, I think.
No.
Yeah, sort of. There were two things that me and some of my friends we discussed a few years ago. One of the ideas that I had actually has now come to fruition, which is the drug testing to get on welfare. The
People
other
were
one,
very against that too.
The other idea that I had, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. I think if you want to apply for any form of assistance or benefits, you must be subject to an asset check. Because there are people out there that have these lavish purses and credit cards, but when they come up to pay for their stuff, oh no, I'll pay with my bridge card.
Well, and you can't. I don't think you can really be the authority in that to notice that and say, hey, I see a red flag there. I should do something about it. You can. Maybe there would be a system in place for that, but I don't see that so much being the problem as I see. God,
now,
how do I put this?
Do 5 separate bridge cards raise an alarm?
Yes.
Yeah, that would, and I would think that would be somewhat...
My thing is, I understand why they say they need to become more strict, because you have a lot of people out here that don't have jobs, aren't trying to even find jobs, and are abusing the system. But in that same sentence, you have over here, let's say this single mother who unfortunately has 4 children she has to raise on her own, and they tell her she's overqualified to get a bridge card.
And I've seen that happen in my life with friends of mine.
How does that make sense?
Make it, you know?
One that has a job and is struggling, but the one that over here that doesn't and is over here basically just living, eating pork chops.
Now,
and
here's
steaks.
my question: do you think that after a certain amount of time, you tell them, "Hey, you start looking, or we're just going to cut you off"?
No, and I have an idea that could work with that. You have all these places, you know, temporary contract houses and, you know, employment agencies. Why not have these employment agencies now work with these government welfare? I don't know the actual division of the government that does that. Instead of sponsoring, you know, these programs where people are just getting unlimited money, support programs where they're putting them into work. You know, you go in and apply for a bridge card or apply for your unemployment. Hey, guess what? Over at that counter right there, we have all these jobs available. Well, if you turn them down, just like in unemployment, you get denied. If you turn down work with unemployment, you don't get it anymore. And I think that should be the same thing. Maybe I don't want to say with the bridge card completely, because again, there are people who need it.
They really do, and it's not a joking matter.
Unfortunately, though, the ones that don't need it do not outnumber the ones that do. But when you hear about it, though, those are the only ones you hear about.
Right.
And that's sad, because the people that need it are now looked at. You know, you could be looking at one guy who's doing that to buy booze, and he knows his way. You know, there might be another cashier that knows how to get the cash for the bridge card money and give him the cash back. The next lady
at the place I have it, they have no access to that. They can't do that even if they pay with cash.
You should come to a couple liquor stores.
I work for Meyer. Don't do that.
They're a little bit more official.
But it's, you know, and having worked retail for 2 years, that's something that I see all the time, and it's just one of those things that. Thank you for bringing that up, because it bugged me for many, many months.
Yeah, going back to the whole minimum wage thing, I see right here they say Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, and also Rhode Island have chosen to raise their minimum wage to $8.70, whereas California are thinking to raise it to $9 in July. Other states like Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Missouri, Ohio are still in question right now.
And all you can do, really, you can either say, I support that or I don't support that. You have to almost wait 5 to 10 years down the road to see the effects of it. Yeah. To see the quality of life improving, you know, to see people being able to come out of debt, or just society improving in general. Right. You know, you won't be able to know that overnight, because, you can hear that, $1 more an hour is great. Well, guess what? Your dollar's worth a lot less this year than it was last year, so maybe you're making 10 cents more an hour.
I still worry about the next generation.
I don't.
You still
I'm still very, very much worried about it, but, you know, in 5-10 years, we'll wonder if, you know, we're going to be still in this hole that we're in, and that we have been in for several years, or if we're finally going to rise up and prosper again.
Moving to Toronto.
In case of emergency, there is always Toronto.
That's what I say. In case of party, call Rob Ford.
That's for next week, though.
Man, that guy, I love him.
Yeah. So, thank you guys for being a part of the show, as always. Loved having you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we want to thank you guys for listening. You guys are the reason why we keep going, and you guys are the reason we're still sane.
Keep tuning in.
Keep tuning in. This is 96.9 WMCC. This is The Casual Room, and we are out.
Peace.
Hey, Clevis! Wake up! The show's over! Oh, yeah! Kick it!
You wasn't my fault, I swear to God!
Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is! Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
You've been listening to WMCC 96.9 on the FM dial and the Joe Trackwell Show. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thank you.